Hello everybody, this is your favorite Sarkari Naukar, and on today's awareness program, we have taxes.
Well, on paper, us Indians pay anywhere from 0 to 42% based on our income bracket. But wait, this is not the full picture. We pay a tax that is unspoken and we pay it every day. And it is present in every aspect of Indian society. And we simply just fail to notice it. This hidden tax is now almost normalized in society. And society has given up on reforms. This has simply become the way of life, and it is just a cost of doing business in India. You might think countries like the USA, Canada, UK, France, or Germany pay the highest taxes, or probably somewhere in the Nordic countries like Switzerland pay the highest taxes. What if I told you that us Indians pay the highest effective tax rate? Not just on paper, but in reality. This sounds absurd, right? Take a look at this number. The total amount of tax collected in post independent India is 4,410 lakh crore rupees. That's an insane amount of tax that has been collected from all of us. Now, what has happened to all of this tax? Where has all this money gone? Whom has it even funded? Research estimates that this number can be off by a margin of 15 to 20%. But the sheer astronomical size of it still remains the same. It is a lot of money. Whether the number is a little lower or a little higher doesn't take away from the sheer size of it. Now, you might be wondering, where did I even get this number from? So, this number comes from a detailed economic model. Let's call it the dual state model. This model attempts to account for not just the official taxes but also the shadow taxes that we pay to survive the system. The ground reality is there are two Indias, the official state and the shadow state. The official state is where all our money goes to build roads, fund transportation, go to schools, etc. But the shadow system is where we as citizens are forced to pay money just to survive the inefficiencies of the government. Think about it. For every 3 rupees that we have paid, the 2 rupees goes to the official state and the remaining 1 rupee goes to the shadow state. Now that we have established that we are getting scammed, let's take a deeper dive into the different ways that we are getting scammed by our own government. Whenever you're buying a vehicle in India, a big portion of the money that you pay goes to the government. Now, let's follow the money and see what happens to your money. Let's consider an extreme example, importing a Tesla Cybertruck from America to India. Let's say you want to import it to a city like Mumbai and you are going to purchase the maxed out Cybertruck. It's the Cyberbeast model. That would cost you around $1 lakh or approximately 83 lakh rupees. Now, to import that 83 lakh rupee truck from USA to India, you will have to pay around 4-5 lakhs in transport and charges. So your total comes out to be 88 lakh rupees. But that is far from the real charge of the truck. There are many more charges that you have to pay before you get to drive your truck. First, let's pay the central government. You have to pay the import duty. And guess what? The import duty for a truck like this is 110%. So that means you're paying more in the import duty than the cost of the truck. Whatever money you have saved to buy up the truck, now double it and pay it to the government. And we are not done yet. There are more charges associated. Now you have to pay the GST. The GST that you have to pay is on the tax that you have already paid. So you're paying a GST on not just the value of the truck but also the import duty on the truck. You're paying a tax upon the tax. This is the beauty of GST. Now you have paid GST. That's not it. You should also pay the state government. And in a state like Maharashtra, the tax for a high-end imported electric vehicle is anywhere from 13 to 15%. And this 13 to 15% is not on the original value of the truck. No, it's not on the 83 lakh rupee valuation of the truck. It is now the valuation of the truck plus the central duty plus the GST that you have paid. So you're paying 15% on the total value of 1.8 crores. and that gets your price up to 2.1 crores. Now, let me sum it up. Now you have paid the central government a criminally high charge of 110% on your truck, and then you paid a 5% GST not only on the 110% central duty but also on the 83 lakh rupees that you originally paid for the truck. And after that, the state government demands 13 to 15% not on the original 83 lakhs value but on the total value that you paid as a import duty and GST. So you have paid a tax on a tax and then another tax on the tax that has already been taxed. For the vehicle that is valued at 83 lakh rupees, you have now paid 2.1 crores, and less than half of the money has gone to the people who actually built your vehicle. After paying such huge taxes, we Indians must get the best roads and the best services, right? We must get the best possible places to drive on. But that's not the reality. We not just pay high taxes on imported vehicles, but also on vehicles that are made in India. And not just on vehicles. We also pay taxes when we fill petrol at the petrol pump. A part of the money goes to a special road fund. We also pay tolls at the highways. Now there is so much money that is being collected. We must definitely get the best roads, right? But we really don't. There is a hidden cost. Let me introduce you to the culprit, the corruption discount. So, whenever the contractors build roads, they use cheap materials, they use less tar, and they build the road on weak foundations. They literally build the road in such a way that it is built to fail. And whenever they do fail, there is a ghost maintenance setup. Now, we as taxpayers pay for maintenance of the roads. We pay for a maintenance that never really happens. And this is where all the money vanishes to. And the difference in all of this money that they have saved up on weak materials and bad roads is their illegal profit. This is no secret. India's top auditors, the CAG and the CVC, have pointed this out. Even World Bank has given a statement on the sorry state of our Indian roads. Let me explain. Now, the official tax is anyways gone. Now you have to start paying the second tax. And first of it is the vehicle damage tax. Every time your vehicle goes over a pothole, it damages a tire, it damages a rim, the suspension is gone, you have to pay for the repairs out of your own pocket. Next is the productivity tax. Don't get me started on the billions of hours people waste in traffic jams. The situation in Bengaluru is so horrible by influx of all the people from everywhere else in the country. It's a problem with no solution in sight. And finally, we have to pay the most brutal tax of them all, the life tax. You pay this tax literally with your life. It is no secret how dangerous Indian roads are. Even the Ministry of Transport has stated that there are over 1,50,000 deaths every single year due to Indian roads. It would be foolishness to call these accidents. These are systemic problems that are caused by bad roads, poorly designed roads, bad curves on roads. This is a literal public safety crisis, and no one else is held responsible other than our government. Let's discuss the tax that we pay on petrol. Unlike the other taxes, this tax is not a one-time fee. For crores of Indians, this is a daily ritual. Every single day, when you go to the petrol pump and fill up your car or your bike, do you stand to wonder how does the government come up with that final price that you see? Let me break down the cost of a single liter of petrol. First comes the base price. It's approximately 55 rupees. It includes the cost of refining the crude oil, and it also includes the profit margin of the companies that are actually refining this crude oil and selling the petrol. The central government applies a central excise duty. This is approximately 20 rupees per liter. Then the petrol pump owner gets their commission. It's usually about 3 to 4 rupees. Now you have to pay the state government, and the state government adds its own tax called as the VAT. In Delhi, it's about 15 rupees. But the less advertised fact is this tax is not just added on the base price of the petrol, it is added on the base price plus the central excise duty that you have paid to the central government. So, this is another situation of tax on a tax that you have already paid, and this pushes the price of the petrol to a really greater height. This isn't the case in just one state, this is the case in every state in India. Every state has its own VAT rate, and this increases the price of petrol in each state significantly, creating a confusing mesh of prices all over the country.
For most of us Indians, buying a home is the biggest investment of our life. It's the cost of shelter. But in India, the price you see is only the beginning of what you pay. Let's start with the official cost. If you buy a property worth 50 lakhs in a city like Bengaluru, you first pay the government's price of admission. And there's the stamp duty, a tax on the property's value. In this case, it's 5%, which is about 2.5 lakh rupees. Then you pay a registration fee of 1%. That's another 50,000 rupees. But it doesn't stop here. On top of the stamp duty, the government adds a 10% cess and a 2% surcharge. It's a tax on tax situation. And now, totally, the cost of registering, owning, and paying the tax itself is 3,30,000 rupees. And it's 6.6% of your property's value. A groundbreaking study by the National Institute of Public Finance and Policy found that black money in real estate transactions could range from 66% to 73% of the declared value of the property. Now that means for every 50 lakhs that is declared on paper, another 33 to 36 lakhs could be changing hands in cash, and this is completely off the books. This isn't just about a simple cash payment. The real shadow tax on housing is a multi-stage nightmare. It is imposed long before you ever see the property. Consider the cost of just building a house. A viral social media post comparing Bengaluru to Australia highlighted the impossible maze of bureaucracy and demands for bribes from the municipal bodies. Officials use impractical rules as a leverage to scare people and demand huge sums of money just to approve a building plan. This isn't random. Real estate insiders report that these bribes are systematic, a fixed rate per square foot. One person who worked for a developer in Mumbai revealed that for a project of 5,000 crores, approval cost was 400 crores and an extra 130 crores were paid in bribes. This reveals the final crushing truth. The end buyer pays the shadow tax every step of the way. You are paying a tax on tax both officially and unofficially. It's a system where the cost of shelter is designed to break you long before you ever even get the keys. We have seen how you're taxed on what you buy and what you own, but the state also levies a heavy tax on the one thing that makes it all possible, your income. There's a common belief that income taxes in India are low compared to the developed nations, and that is a dangerous misconception. The government tells you that the highest tax rate is 30%, but that's not the real number. Let's do some math. First, on top of the 30% tax, high earners have to pay a surcharge, and it can be as high as 37% of the tax amount. Then, on top of that combined total, they add a 4% cess for health and education. When you add it all up, the real effective top tax rate isn't 30%, it's a staggering 42.7%, and this places India as one of the top tax brackets, and sometimes even higher than that. Many of the high European tax countries we think of as the most expensive places to live. The difference is they get world-class public services in return, and the tax on your income isn't low. It's a world-class rate for a system that often fails to deliver world-class results. The shadow tax just doesn't target what you own or what you earn. It also targets your future through the education of your children. Now, this tax comes in two forms: a direct tax on the access to private education and an indirect tax on the value of public education. Let me explain. First, there's a tax on private education, a practice known as the capitation fee. It's an illegal, undeclared payment demanded by the private colleges for admission, and is completely separate from the official fees. It's a direct subversion of merit, where a student's wealth matters more than their marks. The Supreme Court of India has declared this practice illegal, yet it thrives. A national report even ranked that the education sector is the second largest generator of black money, with all of these fees estimated to total over 6,000 crore rupees in a single year. For a single medical seat, students report being asked to pay an extra 10 lakh rupees in cash. But what about the public education system? The one that is funded by our taxes. Here, the shadow tax is more subtle, but it's far more damaging. It's not a bribe you pay, it's the theft of the value that was promised. The taxes are supposed to pay for teachers, yet, an UNESCO report highlighted that India's teacher absenteeism rate is 25%, and it is among the highest in the world. 1 in 4 teachers simply don't show up. Sometimes the problem is even worse: ghost teachers who exist only on the payroll, drawing a salary while the classroom just sits empty. The recent controversy around the NEET exams exposed a massive paper leak and cheating scam. In one case, allegedly, a test paper was sold for nearly 40 lakh rupees. Now, this forces millions into a double tax. First, you pay for the public system that has been hollowed out by corruption. Then, to give your child a fighting chance, you're forced to pay a second time for private schools and private coaching. This is the system's most regressive tax. The wealthy can pay the capitation fee. The middle class is squeezed paying twice, and the poor, who depend entirely on the public system, are left with a substandard education. This is trapping them in a cycle of poverty. The shadow tax isn't just confined to big ticket items. It's a daily reality on the streets of India, and it is embedded in something as simple and essential as our street food. This vibrant informal economy often runs on a parallel system. To get a good location and to operate without being shut down, many vendors are forced to pay a hafta, a daily or weekly bribe, to local or municipal officials. This isn't a legal fee, it's a corruption tax, and it is paid simply to be ignored by the system. But when a vendor pays that bribe, they are buying their way out of the entire public safety framework. This means no hygiene checks, no quality control on the oil, water, or ingredients, and no mandatory health checkups. The food might be affordable, but it carries the risk of foodborne illnesses like typhoid and cholera. The bribe paid by the vendor is a direct risk to your health. Now, scale that up to the entire world of business. The shadow tax here isn't just a nuisance, it's a mandatory cost of doing business in India. The recent survey revealed a shocking reality: 66% of Indian businesses admitted to paying a bribe in the last year. Over half of them said they were forced to pay, describing it as the only way to get work done. The rest paid simply to speed things up. These aren't bribes for special favors. They are for the absolute basics: getting a permit, dealing with GST officials, and even collecting payments for work that they have already completed. This reality on the ground makes a mockery of the India's ease of doing business rankings. While the rules on paper might have improved, but they fail to capture the friction and the cost imposed by these gatekeepers. And this corruption tax isn't absorbed by the businesses. It's inevitably passed on to you. It acts as an invisible inflationary tax embedded in the price of every product on the shelf and every service you use. It is the final layer of the shadow tax where all of us pay every single day. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you find any information that we have shared to be wrong, please do leave a comment. We'll make sure to pin it.